This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Yes, we are back and we are live on Pulse 95 Radio with your boy Omar Adori on the halftime show. Thank you very much for tuning in, and massive respect and shout out to everyone who is locked in with me for the hour. Let's try and make it worth your while. So talking about making it worth your while, we hear a lot about the latest technology when it comes down to health and fitness, but how important is music in setting the mood for your goals? From cardio to weights, we all have our preferences, but what do you do to tailor your playlist based on the way you train? Think about that. It's very, very interesting. You get some people, I was speaking to Hani on Amnia right now on Future Talk, you get some people that normally get riled up by certain types of music on certain types of day, whether you have leg day, whether you have cardio, whether you're just in the mood to just go out there and beast out a session. So we're talking about that in the health and fitness segment today. I'm really interested to see your thoughts, and actually what I want you to do is share your playlists with me, tag Pulse 95 Radio, and we'll see what kind of music you guys are dealing with. You never know, I might be inspired by it. That's one thing. UFC 267 is back in the UAE. We are getting spoiled for action. And what sort of athlete would you like to see come to the UAE on the fight card? Who are you looking forward to most? Let me know. And we've also got a roundup of all the latest action in the sports world on the only place to be at 3, the halftime show on Pulse 95. Let's go, people.
This is the halftime show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the halftime show with Omar Adori. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international and local. You know, one of the most important parts of this game, and I say this game, when it comes down to health and fitness, is music. And obviously part of the show, and as Omnia was very nice to say, you know, the halftime show has some awesome music, and that's thanks to Sama and the team behind the scenes. Music is important. Music is energy. Movement is medicine. You put those two together, and when you're moving with medicine and energy, then you pretty much have a good formula right there. But my question to you is, how important does a good playlist affect your energy when it comes down to health and fitness? And I posted this on my Instagram. I had some really good answers, by the way, to that question. And people were really trying to, I think the majority, I'd say about 80%, said it was crucial, very, very important. And it also depends on the type of training you do. But do you have a specific playlist that you play? And how often do you update it? And so I challenge you to send me or share your playlist with me on Instagram at Omar Alduri. Tag Pulse 95 Radio. I want to see what you're kind of working with when it comes down to the music, because music is a big part of health, of fitness, of movement, you know? And so I'm putting that challenge out there. I want you guys to let me know. Drop me one playlist, let's say 10 to 15 tracks. I know, Mustafa, you said that your playlist is obviously my show, which is fantastic. So now the pressure's even higher for me to make sure those tunes are good for your workout session. But does your playlist determine what workout you're doing? And I say that because some people like a bit more up-tempo. I know Layla has the music. I've heard about that, Layla, and Maria just jumped in the room as well, and she's saying Layla's playlist no. So that's one thing, but music does play a big part. So I'm asking you to share it with me at Omar Duri and at Pulse 95 Radio on Instagram, and let's see what you're working with. 10 to 15 tracks. You can even tell me if it's a specific workout, if you box, if you do yoga, if you do sprints, if you do high interval training, if you do strength training, whatever it is you're doing. Share that with me, and I'll have a look, because I've always said that sometimes you walk into a place and the music will keep you in there. That could be just a retail spot, or it could be a place that has, a training facility or something. You come in and you think, okay, I like this music. And it's never easy to please everyone. So everyone has their own taste and their own flavor. But I kind of look at that and I think, if my playlist is not on point and I'm training on my own, then it's going to be tough. So that's one. Two, if I am going into a facility or a gym, I don't have control over that playlist. So I'm praying that it will be a good playlist, because when you're getting to like the 7th or 8th or even 9th round and you're tired, you kind of need that pick me up. So that's the segment today on health and fitness. And I'm really interested to see what kind of playlists you guys are messing with, because I got my boy Derek in London, who's normally tuned in, and he actually used to DJ while he spins. That's how good he is. So Sometimes he sends me his tracks and I listen to them. Some people like running as well. It depends. Masoud's saying, I don't have the music, but I have something you would like to see. It boosts my limits, and of course, being better, that's what I personally felt. Excellent, Masoud, I like that. Maria, I pick a gym or class based on the music they play. You see, that's what I'm talking about. Genuinely speaking, people do base their workouts around the energy and the music that's being played at that spot. So if you're going to let's say a hit session, you don't really want to have something that is lower on beat and something that won't be able to kind of get you through the fast paced or fast intervals that you're doing. If you're doing something a bit more slower, like strength training, you might have something along the lines of, you know, the pump music that you call it, but not too fast and not too slow, something to kind of get you through it. If you're doing spinning, for example, on the sprints, you might go up in pace and the sound will be a lot faster. But then if you're doing climbs, it might go lower, maybe some Linkin Park. I used to do it back in the day. And a lot of people kind of enjoy it. So yeah, let me know. Text me on 4215 at Salat Urdu, or start up into my DMs at Omar Duri, and I'll mention it actually on the break, and I will repost it on my page as well, just to kind of see what you guys are working with. All right, let me know what's up. I'll be right back. Here's some, what we got now actually. We've got the Adhan coming up. Yeah, we've got the Adhan coming up. So what I will say actually is, we've got a couple of interviews, by the way, very, very soon. And what I want you to do is head over to the Pulse 95 Radio YouTube channel and check them out. There was one recently with Sheikh Tariq Al-Qasimi, which was really interesting to get his mindset on competing but not using his name to do so. I thought that was fascinating, and also changing his name when he competes abroad so that it wouldn't be a big deal. I thought that was very, very humbling and nice to see that he's a black belt and yet he's very chilled, very calm. That was pretty cool. But there's a lot of other really cool guests on there, and also we've got some boxers coming on the show next week. That's a little secret from me to you, a little exclusive drop there. We're going to take a break for the Adhan and we'll be right back after this.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Yes, we are back and we are live on Pulse 95 Radio with Omar Adori, your boy on the Halftime Show. Okay, so the first segment, we tackled straight into it. We were talking about how music can affect your energy when it comes down to health and fitness. On the second segment, now the UFC 267 is coming over to the UAE, and obviously, you know, we talked about mixed martial arts being huge here, and these guys are now, you know, full celebrities. They used to be just fighters, and now, you know, everyone knows the profiles. There's all these episodes like Embedded and all these things that they release on YouTube to show you how the fighters get prepared, which is very, very interesting. The person that I think people are very intrigued by is Khamzat Chimaev. If you don't know the name, you know, you will definitely hear a lot about this guy. This guy came on the scene in UFC and absolutely started taking all these fights from everywhere and really like producing these knockout victories, submission victories. He was very, very good. Then all of a sudden he got very, very sick and had to pull out of the UFC. People also thought that he might retire. Well, he's back now, and he's back in the UAE, you know, with a record of 70. Where's that? I just lost that record. That's, you know, it's live. With a record of 9-0. He's undefeated so far. His country's Chechnya, and he's 6'2" at the moment. He's going to be fighting Li Jinglang in what is going to be a very, very close matchup. I think with these guys, especially with Khamzat, you know that he has this aura. You know, there's the superstar aura about him. And normally you speak to him and he's just like, I'm going to smash him. It's very, you know, it's very Habib-like, you know, when you hear stuff like that. And I'm thinking that we have a superstar, you know, on the cards here. And the fact that he's coming to the UAE, his fan base is going to be off the chain when he gets here. So that's going to be interesting to see, you know, what happens with him. And also, you've got the big boys are coming to the league, you know. Jan Blachowicz against Glover Teixeira. That's going to be big. Peter Yan versus Corey Sandhagen. Especially that Peter Yan was supposed to fight Aljamain Sterling, but then obviously that didn't work. And because of this qualification of illegally hitting him while he had one knee down, that had a bit of sour. Peter Yan was absolutely demolishing Sterling in that fight. But he's back now. He's the number one contender. And even though his last fight by record was a loss, I mean, he's an animal. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. You've got a lot of other people. You've got Amanda Ribas versus Verna Jandiroba. And I was talking to a few fighters today. You might see the show next week. A few professional fighters today, female fighters. And I asked them the question of why don't we have as many female fighter main cards in boxing as we do in UFC? And the responses were very interesting, but along the lines of the marketing, the promotion, the opportunity was something that these two professional fighters were talking about. Very, very interesting characters that fought each other. And I managed to get them both in the ring for an interview. So we're going to be hopefully showing you that interview probably next week. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Sergei saying heavyweight title fight should be good. I think so too. I think with John Jones not stepping out or stepping away, but being distant and sorting himself out, I think that's been good for the other fighters. Now, of course, the John Jones fans are hardcore and they're going to want to see him, back in the octagon. But with that, they've capitalized on it, especially, when you look at Blachowicz, who, even with Israel Adesanya stepping up in weight, couldn't do that. That was a different level in terms of weight. And we've seen how much weight can play a part in the heavyweights. Like, I'm talking about using their weight to their advantage, managing the fight, whether it's grappling, whether it's wrestling, whether it's even striking. You see the different levels. The fact that UFC is coming to Abu Dhabi and is coming to the UAE is huge, because they kind of set the tone post-COVID by bringing, having a fight island, ready, being able to showcase all the best fighters in the world. Now it's almost become normal to host over there, which is amazing. Really, really good to see that. Who else do we have here? We've got Islam Makhachev against Dan Hooker. That should be a very, very good fight. Dan Hooker spent quite a bit of time in the UAE, and Islam Makhachev and a lot of Habib's crew have, been glowing in reference for this guy. And I think he is I don't want to say he's a future star, because he's a star already, but he's someone that they think can get to Habib levels. That's a big statement in itself. So I'm looking forward to see how Dan Hooker deals with the skill, but also the intelligence of Islam Makhachev. Okay, right. We asked you to send your playlists in. I haven't got one yet, but someone just said to me now they're going to be sending it through. So make sure you keep sending them in. Tag me, tag Pulse 95 Radio on Instagram, and we'll be right back. And hopefully we can actually read some of these tracks out. I know Mikey's track is Maniac. That's right. And I got the video right, yeah? Yeah, kind of. Okay. We're going to take a break and we'll be right back after this. Enjoy, folks.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
Yes, we are back and we are live on Pulse 95 Radio. Shout out to everyone who is tuned in around the world, whether it's 95 FM, pulse95radio.com, our app, Sharjah Broadcasting Authority. You'll be chilling at home watching us live on YouTube, right? United fans have been quiet, Amda's gone missing. Spicy's gone missing. To be fair, Florin's been there. Florin's been talking to me a lot about Manchester United. And we mentioned them on the show quite a bit. What's up, Sam? I like the team you support, Sam. You're a good guy. But with everything that's happening, who would want to be a coach right now? With everything that's happening at the moment now, everyone's calling Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to get out, and there's been a lot of talk about Sir Alex Ferguson going down to the training ground. I'll tell you one thing, that's probably one of the problems there. The fact that Sir Alex Ferguson, who is retired and used to be, and is a legend, one of the greatest ever to manage and coach, is coming down to the training ground still and having an influence on what's happening. We've got to be very, very careful with things like that. What I want you to do is not think of it as a fan now, and put yourself in the position of whoever's coaching Manchester United. Now you're coaching and a legend comes in to visit the training ground. Why does he need to be there? That's the first thing. I don't know why. I'm just not 100%. I'm just, there's this uneasiness about him being there. Now, he is a legend, don't get me wrong. Fantastic coach who is retired. Why is he still there? And the other day when Liverpool obviously, beat Manchester United, the cameras kept going to Ferguson. In fact, I saw the cameras go to Ferguson quite a few times, almost as many times as the actual Manchester United manager. So I'm really, there's something that's just not sitting down well with me on that one. And I've got some United fans here who I've asked, who would you have in there? And Rashid is saying Zidane. Hamda is saying nope, not Zizou. Sam is saying big up Arsenal. That's always a good thing. Hamda is saying Conte, and they like that. Omar, who would suit United, Zidane or Conte with the current squad? Brendan Rodgers. That's who I think would suit United long term. Conte will be fantastic. He's one of my favorites. I actually wanted Conte to manage Arsenal. Zidane is my favorite footballer of all time, so I'm always going to be biased towards him. But I don't know. I don't know. I think if Brendan Rodgers goes in there, think of who he's going to bring in with him regarding recruitment, regarding staff, scouting system, coaches. Look at the ability to coach players as well as develop them. Yes, at United, you've got players who are pretty much the finished article, but it doesn't mean they shouldn't be coached. So I think Brendan Rodgers would be that would be worrying. And then I would say Conte. I think Conte is for the league. He's won the league before there. He's done it with with players that he can motivate, maneuver, switch up their positions. I think that's going to be, very, very key for him. I would be worried if Conte does go as well. I have to say, right now, I think Ollie's walking a very, very tight rope. And so I'm not sure how that's going to pan out. But hey, you guys let me know. Text me on 4215 at Salat or slide up into my DMs. We've got another comment in here from Dino. United have big individuals on the pitch and looks like big characters in the rest of the club. Yeah, they do. But listen, when you're at the highest level, do you have any sympathy for people that are there? We have to also gauge in mind that these footballers are superstars, and superstars that are there to win the major trophies. The fact that they're there right now and they're not winning, and they haven't won in 3 years, that tells you that coming close, people forget about it. 1 minute, you saw memes of Rio Ferdinand saying Ollie's at the wheel. 1 minute, Paul Scholes is coming out publicly and saying that, United are going to get bounced by Liverpool, by half time. I agree with Safe that, there's no cohesion. Do they even need Ronaldo? Again, that's a brand exercise. I mean, Ronaldo is one of the greatest of all time, granted, but it's a brand exercise. And now you can't press in a system. Sorry, I'm going to just a little bit of coaching talk. You can't press in a system if the head of the press is not going to generate the press. And therefore, if he does go, which is not something that he should be doing often because you can utilize his game in a different way, then the rest of the players have to go with him as well. And that means the closest player to him has to close down the closest opponent, and so on and so on. And if the ball shifts to the left side, they have to gradually shift over, trying to keep that compact side where they can win the ball higher up. So, there are different things. That's why people like Pochettino would have been great for Manchester United. And that's where that opportunity is gone. People were laughing at Ten Hag of Ajax. I think he's a great coach, but I would love to see him at Newcastle. Now, obviously you're going to say, come on, United are a bigger club. Yes, they are. But I think the Newcastle project would suit him more. It looks like they need a new approach, but they're not being coached to press together. They make mistakes all over. Yes, Dino, they do make mistakes all over, but you see, it's very easy for us from the outside to kind of see that. But from the inside, when you have all these attacking players and you wonder, all the wages that's been spent on these players, people like Jadon Sancho sitting on the bench, it's very, very tricky. Do they have the right defensive unit in two centre-backs and then the two players ahead of them? It's very, very difficult, very, very difficult. Rashid is saying, what about Sancho? Did United need a right winger over a CDM? This segment is turning out to be about Man United. Again, when you have Greenwood, why bring Sancho? When you have Greenwood and Sancho, why bring Ronaldo? So the puzzle keeps going on, and I think that's where we have to you have to think about when people say, oh, they're not spending money. Well, United have spent money, and yet they're still looking for another player. And someone like Declan Rice, Wilfred Bissouma, Idrissa Gueye, those players would really be worth investing in to be able to allow the other players to play. So nowadays in the modern game, a lot of people are just looking at the forwards, but it's much more than that. Fred and Bruno cannot be the only players chasing down the ball. I agree. Okay, folks, we're going to take a quick break. And we'll be right back. But keep those comments coming in. I love it. Love the interaction in there. We're going to take a quick break and I'll be right back. Here's some Loyal Party Next Door. Here we go.
This is the Halftime Show with Omar Adori on Pulse 95.
It sure is that time. It's the Halftime Show with Omar Adori. I'm your host, covering everything sport, international and local. Okay, right. So, a couple of questions coming in. Someone said, share the Reset playlist. I will. That was a good playlist, actually. It's always being updated, so there's about 50 tracks on there. But I think I might do that. Let's see what you guys come up with first, and then I'll share with you my playlist for health and fitness. Okay, if you were manager of Man United, what would you change? The philosophy for one, and I would not be bringing back Sir Alex Ferguson. As much as people say, those were the winning days, times have changed now. And I think even people like David Moyes, who didn't get a fair chance, it's just not nice, man. It's the same thing like Arsenal, people saying bring back Arsene Wenger to be a director so he can kind of shape. Those times have evolved and the times have changed, and sometimes when you're out of football you can see things differently to when you're in the inside. On the inside, everyone has an opinion of what you do externally. Everyone's talking about what you're doing wrong. But when you're actually seeing things every single day on training pitch, I think that's going to be very different. I think the philosophy will be changed. I think if they tried to say it's going to be a project and they gave him 3 years, 3 to 5 years is normally something that is in modern day management is normally long term, because coaches don't last that long these days. So 3 to 5 years is a long time. So that's the first part I would say. The second part I would say is, if you have to keep rotate your backroom staff in terms of the coaching every couple of years to be able to get fresh ideas. That's what Sir Alex Ferguson actually did well. He brought in people like Carlos Queiroz and top people that could coach and could manage, but had their own opinion, and that would help what he was doing. I think right now, bringing, again, with all due respect to those people that are there, your Carricks and your Quinton Fortunes and Nicky Butt and those guys are fantastic. But if you put those names next to people like Roy Keane, Mark Hughes, even, you might laugh at this, but even Steve Bruce, those type of characters who have won everything and are leaders can only be something that would probably light up the dressing room, especially on dark days. When days that you lose, the coach is very, very lonely, is in a very, very dark place. The coach is there to be able to assess where he went wrong first and how he could bring the best out of his players. I'm speaking from experience on this one. So in the eyes of what's happening, the fans are demanding. The owners have been criticized left, right and center despite investing in the club. And they should take a good look at their counterparts like your Manchester Cities, your Chelseas, your Liverpools, your Arsenals, especially Liverpool and Arsenal, who haven't invested like Manchester United, and say, you know what? The owners have done their part. So now who's responsible? Is it a director of football? Is it someone who is the manager or coach? Is it the players? Something else that I was asked during the break is, are any of the players playing for their badge? Well, you got to ask yourself, if let's say now Oli goes out or they kick him out or whatever, and then United win the next game, everyone's going to be like, amazing. But it's not amazing. That means the players were down tooling their tools and they weren't performing to the highest level. So at what point do we take responsibility, accountability for our own actions before we start looking at other people? So there are so many factors there, I have to say, that are very, very key to, rather than this whole society of criticizing everyone. Even the pundits are getting criticized. Like even Gary Neville's getting criticized. That people are saying he's lost his mind. there's a lot of passion in sport. There's a lot of passion in the game. And people are going to always have their opinions, even if they don't know what's happening on the inside. So I would probably say, in terms of what you were saying, what is missing? An identity. What are United doing? Are they a defensive team? Are they a counter-attacking team? Are they a pressing team? Are they a team that sits, low block? What is it that they're doing? And then find out that, if they're not expected to win anything this year, then don't have that high expectations. Don't bring in Cristiano Ronaldo. Don't do those things, because let's face it, if Alex Ferguson was there, do you think Cristiano Ronaldo would be allowed to come back into the club? And people might say, of course he is, because Sir Alex and Cristiano have a great relationship. Relationship, not a business relationship. You have to understand that if there's a certain style of play, it might not suit those people. So I think that's regarding your question, Rashid. With all the factors, it's not easy. It's very, very difficult. I don't know how long this will go on for. But hey, I guess you're going to hear it here on the Halftime Show, especially if you ask those kind of questions. Right, we have reached full time on the Halftime Show. Coming up next is the Afternoon Karak with Mika Atay and Aisha Al-Mazmi, I think. And and we'll be back here on Saturday, same time, same place, on the only place to be at 3, the Halftime Show on Pulse 95. Have a blessed day, folks.
If you liked this episode of the Halftime Show, drop a like and subscribe.
95.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram for all our daily updates and top stories.